Love of Swimming is a podcast that celebrates the wonderfully diverse community of swimmers and fantastic swimming opportunities that exist on the Isle of Wight off the south coast of England. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Sandy Cicognani. In 2019, I started the group Outdoor Swimming Isle of Wight as I wanted to find people to swim with in the sea. Since then, I've been on an amazing swimming journey, meeting some wonderful people who share my passion for swimming. I founded a social enterprise to support and encourage people to swim in the sea, trained to be an open water coach, developed the concept of a sea cafe, and have brought the sport of longe-cote, renamed sea hiking, to the place where I live. I'm part of the outside research study team based at Sussex University, looking at outdoor swimming as a nature-based social prescribing intervention for depression, and I work in the voluntary sector on the Isle of Wight. For the Love of Swimming is also the name of a series of community events that aim to share information and inspiration and to connect people through swimming. So if you're lucky enough to live on or visit the island, look out for these events coming soon. Follow us on all the usual social media channels and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast for more personal swimming stories. In this episode, I interview Lindsey Shenton, who is an experienced PE teacher and sports coach, a swim trek guide, and an all-round outdoor enthusiast. Welcome, Lindsey. Thank you for coming on the podcast and hopefully telling us a little bit about why you love swimming. Could we begin, if you could just start by introducing yourself and tell us what kind of a swimmer you are?
Right. I'm about to become 66 in March, so I'll be fully retired. And I have been swimming all my life, on and off, since learning at about the age of 8.
Mm-hmm.
I am not just into swimming, I'm into all outdoor adventurous stuff. So for me now, swimming is not the only thing that I like to do outdoors. Mm-hmm. So I think that needs to be said at this particular point. I love exercise and my background is in teaching. And I, at the age of 18, went off to Liverpool to train to teach PE. And since then, I have developed my skills in teaching, moved away a little bit from PE into senior leadership. But now I'm not in schools full time. I'm now a sports coach. Mm-hmm. So I love exercise and I love being outside. That's me. Excellent.
Thank you. So let's start with some little short questions. So what's your favourite stroke? Have you got one?
That's a difficult one. I was a backstroker in competition when I was younger. And the reason my coach got me to do backstroke, because she said, too many freestylers. So do backstroke, Lindsay. Since then, I would say that actually most of my training is freestyle. Mm-hmm. And the reason that it's front crawl or freestyle, two reasons. At college, we had a coach that said that everybody needed to train freestyle because you needed to get the amount of lengths in and swim fast. So that was my first sort of introduction to massive freestyle. And then, of course, the other thing is all the distance events in competition are freestyle events. Yes, you can do another stroke, but front crawl is notoriously the fastest. And then open water. Mm-hmm. So open water requires you either to be a breaststroker or to be a freestyler. Yeah. So I've got to say that most of the time I swim freestyle. I'm not sure it's my favourite stroke, but that's what I swim mainly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And have you got a favourite bit of kit, a sort of can't be without and or a luxury item that you like to take when you go swimming?
Oh gosh.
I said they'd be easy questions, they're not.
When I was in competition, I used to say I had a favourite costume, mm-hmm. my lucky costume.
Right.
Couldn't go without it. And I wore that if there was a needle event. Mm-hmm. Used to save it for that. Open water. I have a thermometer for the water, and I mustn't go without that.
Is it shaped like a duck?
I had a turtle,
uh-huh.
but the turtle is in the Himalayas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on the Manaslu circuit, because I got him out and dropped him between the rocks. So he's gone. He's in the Himalayas. But I do have Freddy Frog. So I would say open water, I can't go without Freddy Frog. The pool is a tricky one, apart from you've got to have a good pair of goggles.
Yeah.
You cannot go without your goggles.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And have you got a favourite place to swim?
No. I haven't. I would say that I love, on the island, there are so many different beaches I love, if I'm really honest. I love fresh water. There's nowhere nicer. You could be abroad, but equally so, you could be abroad in Sandown Bay. I don't particularly like getting out and changing on the sand. I've gone away from grit and horrible. I like shingle. So I like Ventnor, because obviously I can walk over the hills from here down to Ventnor, swim and walk back. So I like that, but I can do it in Sandown. I walk from here over to Sandown, have a swim and then walk back. I love lakes, lakes, anywhere in the mountains.
Yeah. Tell me more about that. Why do you like mountains particularly?
I've always loved the mountains ever since I was on an outward bound outdoor pursuits course. I went to Mid Wales, and the first mountain I ever went at was Cadwaradrys, and I loved it so much. I loved the whole week. It was a field trip from school, and then they got us to go on an outdoor pursuits course, and I just loved being outside in the mountains. And then at that point, I didn't really swim in the lakes, never even thought about it. It was just about climbing mountains. But very early on, when I did go up mountains, I would go in the odd lake. Never even thought about it. Just loved it. Just really enjoyed it. You know, the ones on Snowdon, the ones on Cadwaradrys, all sorts of different places. But, and I know it's a bit of a vogue thing these days, swimming outside and swimming in the open air. You know, it's become more and more popular, but it's unique. It's unique. You swim out to the middle of the lake and you get a view that no one else gets as they're walking around. And I'm a good swimmer. So even though it might say no swimming, and I've got walking friends who get really perturbed about it says no swimming, Lindsay, I say, it says no swimming because of the dangers of people going in and not understanding the water, the cold water. And it's really hard to convince people of that. So I'm quite happy. I've got my thermometer. I'm quite happy. I'm not stupid. I know what the air temperature is. I know what I've got with me, and I can gauge by the thermometer that I put in the water and the air temperature how long I stay in.
So would you say you are a natural rebel or just sensible? And
I'd say I was a sensible.
Yeah.
I'd say I was sensible. I think in my younger days I might have been a bit of a rebel. Thought, oh well, I'm going in. But no, I think no, I know more about this than you do. And actually it annoys me that people make a judgment that I know I can make a judgment on and be sensible about it. I have thought about swimming in the Himalayas, and I would love to do it. But you have to be extremely careful because the religion of Buddhism, they believe the gods are in the lakes, and actually they're sacred, holy places. So I have never broached our guides and approached them to say, can I go in the lakes ever? For that reason. But I carry a costume. Yeah,
I was going to say, are you always prepared for a swim there, wherever you go?
Most of the time, yes. Yes, I am. So I've just been to Austria, and I carried my costume around most of the time with a little squeegee and a little fleece towel. That's just enough to go around me. Pair of goggles. Hat, always a hat. A bright hat. Really? Yeah. Always a bright... Well, that keeps 40% of the heat in. Because I like to swim freestyle, I'm not a pop-up breaststroker or a dipper, I'm a swimmer. So I have a kit, so I can go in. I would go in plunge pools and waterfalls, but really, I like swimming. I'm not a dipper.
Yeah. What is it you like about swimming?
Travelling from A to B, just like when you're walking or just like when you're on a bike. You're out in the outdoors and you can travel. You can go on a journey, I think.
What's the furthest you've ever swum?
Probably here. We did a millennium swim, and I think it was from somewhere like Yarmouth to Cowes. It was something like 8 miles. So that's the furthest I've ever swum in one hit, and I didn't enjoy it.
Oh really? Why was that?
I was cold.
Right.
Too cold. We weren't given the right advice. So the swim took me a lot longer than it ever should have done, and I've learnt from that. That was bad. That was poor. So I've done relays round the island relay with some friends. I'd love to do some more of that sort of thing. But the trouble is, I like doing all the other things like mountaineering, climbing, cycling, supboarding. Yeah,
it's finding the time for it all, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Let's go back a little bit. Could you just tell us a little bit more about when and where you learnt to swim? What was that like?
Well, I'm from Shropshire originally, and my mum, obviously, she was a great mum, actually. You know, we learned to ride bikes, we were in the outdoors, we climbed trees, got to learn to swim. So I went for swimming lessons. Oh, I know, we had ballet lessons or something, and the ballet packed up, so we started swimming lessons, something like that. And I learned to swim quickly, very quickly.
Yeah.
You bought a book of 10 lessons, and I think by lesson 8 I'd swum a length.
Right.
So I carried on with swimming lessons, and I was a natural in the water, no fear. Just did as I was told. And really, I just progressed. And then I don't know what the swimming teacher said to my mum, but then I started training even when I was at primary school.
Right, so you went straight into sort of competitive swimming, did you?
Yeah, so I can remember even Mum picked me up from the primary school when it was near the age group championships and took me down at lunchtime to swim because it was pool time, trying to get pool time. So, so I started competition at the age of 10.
Wow.
But not intensively. No. I think my parents were sensible because I had so many other things I loved doing. You know, I had guides and I did sport at school and competed and that sort of thing. So swimming was kept at a certain level. Yeah. I never ended up crying in competition like my friends did, you know, and all this business and too much stress and pressure. So I was a good age group swimmer, and then I went off to PE college, and I was good. Well, probably the best in my year. Yeah. Yes, because I got an age group when I was younger. I got an age group time to go to the Midlands with my backstroke, and then I went off to college, and it was just great because there was a pool on site. It was like, I've died and gone to heaven. It was great because then you could train in the mornings, and then we went. The college went off to British colleges and stuff like that, and then I swam for British colleges against British colleges, British universities, that sort of thing, and then stopped.
When did you stop?
Stopped when I finished at college because I didn't think there was anything else. So I just completely stopped. And it wasn't until I came to the Isle of Wight I started again.
Oh, really? And what inspired you to start again?
Well, at that time, so in between, if I tell you that actually I did lots of mountaineering, climbing, ice climbing, outdoor stuff, kayaking, bit of kayaking with friends, and fell running and bit of road running. Didn't really do much on my bike. Thought my back was shot at for a bike, but I did loads of stuff in the mountains. And then I started some aerobics. Right, to get myself fit, and met people in aerobics, did that really intensively. And then I came here. Right. And I went to aerobics and I thought it was rubbish. I thought it wasn't hard enough. Yeah. And it was expensive. So I thought, I'll start in the pool. So I went to the pool and went to the Heights, into the Heights, you see, and went to the lane swim. And a girl said to me, "Oh, you a member of Masters?" And I said, "What's Masters?" So she told me what it was and said there's a board out there with the Masters names and things on, and Jenny was one of the swimmers on it, together with Joan Kidd. So on Jenny's podcast, she'll have mentioned Joan, I'm sure. And so I then I went to the Masters, and they looked at me and said, "Right, well, we've got a competition coming up. Would you like to enter? February 1. So I said, "Okay, right." So I entered that. And then I met other people who introduced me to the sea swimming. And I did the peer-to-peer, and I did other things. And did competitions with Jenny. So that's how I got back in. Right. But I've always kept myself fit.
Yes.
So it was easy to get back in the water. That was at the age of about 40.
Right.
41.
Okay.
So about the last 25 years. So that's where it's come from.
Excellent. Thank you. And did you join the White Tri Club as well? You're doing triathlon?
Right. The reason... Right. Jenny had always been out to Club La Santa in Lanzarote, and I could never go with the swimmers because I was working at school. So when I finished at Sandon Middle School, I said, "I can come to Lanzarote with you." So she said, "Oh, great." So I booked my place and thought, "Great, I can't wait to go." And while I was out, Liz Dunlop got invited as well at the very last minute. On the morning we were supposed to go, she saw Jenny in Marks and Spencer's, and by 6 o'clock she was on the Cat coming across with all the kit. So she then introduced me to some road cycling in Lanzarote. So I got myself a road bike and started cycling with her. Then doing a bit of swimming with White Tri. But what's done it is I've got a problem with my knee. And I've had 2 opinions on it. Specialist opinion: shouldn't do triathlons and shouldn't run on it, shouldn't stand up in my pedals on it, shouldn't ski black ski runs on it. So I just started doing some triathlons, and I was going to do a triathlon out in Lanzarote with Nat B and Liz some years ago, and then thought, right, well, I can't run. I do like running, and actually during lockdown I started doing some off-road running because I just thought, I just love being out, and it's just gorgeous. So every now and again I chance my arm in going for a run off-road, short runs, and I do stand up in the pedals on the bike, and I do ski the odd back ski run, but I try to manage my knees. So that's how I became involved in White Tri, really, through Liz Dunlop, really. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. What else do I need to ask you? Is there anyone in particular who's inspired you?
Jenny.
Yes.
No surprise there, is there?
No.
Jenny Ball. I know that if it hadn't been for Jenny, I would never have gone to the Nationals and got medals in Sheffield, as I did. I would never have gone on any swim trek, which I did with Jenny the very first time. I miss swimming with her.
Right.
I'm really honest. She is an inspiration.
Yeah.
She really is, and I suppose really, if there's anybody, it's Jenny Ball.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know Jenny, listen to the first podcast in this series.
Well, I'm not surprised she's on the first podcast, because there is no one else on the Isle of Wight that anybody else should really listen to except Jenny Ball. She's absolutely inspirational.
Yeah.
And she didn't start swimming till she was later.
And she's still going, competing and teaching.
Teaching, and still a motivator. And every so often I will just drop in at her house unannounced and just go and talk swimming with Jenny. I do miss her.
Yes.
And we've been in competitions in the outdoors together.
Right.
And we've trained together, obviously.
Yeah.
So, I think I've got to say it's Jenny, really. And I think at college, when I was at college, it was our coach, Jack Chidlow. And he was great. He was a real inspiration to me, I would say. And when I was a child and a teenager, Mark Spitz.
Right.
Mark
Excellent,
Spitz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Just a few more questions. Tell me a little bit about some swimming abroad that you've done, perhaps.
Right. Well, I haven't swum abroad as much as I would like.
Right.
So I think, if I'm really honest, that's got to be in the plan forevermore.
Yeah.
Right. I've swum abroad with Swim Track and Big Blue. So with Swim Track, I've guided in Croatia, and I have swum the Bosphorus, which is from Europe to Asia. Did a competition. I went with Jackie Patel. I've swum in, I'm trying to think of Jenny. Oh yes, Jenny and Jane. I went to Gozo and Malta and swam there. I think those are the only things I've done abroad with Swim Track. But myself, I've swum in Swiss lakes. I've swum, let me think, where else? Swum Austrian lakes recently, this last summer. I can't think where else I might have swum abroad. No, I don't think so. Those are mainly. UK, I've swum quite a lot of different places. Yeah. I've guided in the Scottish Inner Hebrides.
Right. I was going to say, tell me, what's it like being a guide? Because it's something I thought about just locally taking. And I think what a stress it is taking other people. You don't know what level they're going to be. And what were your experiences?
My experience is that you've got paid clients who've got a high level, usually, of disposable income. Their expectations of you as the guide are, I think, untenable for the amount of money that you've paid. If you're an assistant guide, this is years ago, you got paid £30 a day.
Oh gosh.
If you're a lead guide, you got paid £50 a day. So in the Scottish Inner Hebrides, both the other guide and myself got paid £50 a day. Fair enough. And we got paid £50 a day at the weekend as well, which is not usual. It was gruelling in the Scottish Inner Hebrides because we were camping and we were cooking outside, apart from the first night where they all went to the pub on Jura. But gruelling because you are camping, you are cooking with very limited facilities under a tarp.
Gosh.
And making breakfast and making, obviously, lunch and making dinner when you're out on Scarpa.
Wow.
And then when you come back, you've then got, and swimming and trekking and leading walks over areas you've never walked yourself. Yeah. On a 1-inch map. I just thought was untenable. No backup with a rib, that if there's a problem with a rib, you've got no backup at all. You've got no one, nobody. So you've got a level 2 powerboat certificate, but if you get a problem with the rib, you've got no backup. Right. So I actually felt you were really on your mettle, particularly in the Scottish Inner Hebrides, but I guided with a great bloke who's since gone solo, who was an ex-major para. And really, if I hadn't guided with him, I think we would have been stuck. So it's a gruelling and it's a baptism of fire, really, being a guide. I've never obviously guided for anybody else but Swim Track. They're a good company to go with. Big Blue, I've loved going with Big Blue. Oh, sorry, that was to Greece. So I have swum abroad with them in Greece, off mainland Greece. but again, only as a client, so you only see it from a client's point of view. So being a guide is tough, I think. And I think expectations of people sometimes are quite unrealistic. Yeah. You've got to be all things to all people all of the time, and I think that's a really
it's exhausting,
tough
isn't
ask.
it? Yeah,
it's a tough ask. That's it.
Yeah,
really.
Thank you. No, that's great. And really, one last question. Just tell me a little bit. I mean, you love fresh water, I understand.
Yes,
but
I
on
do.
the Isle of Wight, there's not an awful lot of fresh
there
water
isn't.
to swim in.
No. I would say on the island that I'm not one of these people that will go in the sea in all weathers.
Right.
Summer or winter. Doesn't float my boat. I love it if I go down to the beach and I go down with friends and I can have a nice swim. And actually spend a bit of time with them and socialise, and it's great. It's nice and sunny, blah, blah, blah. Lovely. As far as dipping, unless it's, again, with friends or something special, I did it with Jenny and Jane. I think it was at New Year this time. They were going in on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve. And that was nice because I went and had a dip with them and dip with others, met a few more people, and then we had a coffee afterwards and that sort of thing. Otherwise, I will go to the pool and train.
Right.
So I'm quite selective.
Yeah,
I'm quite selective. I'm not a dipper.
Yeah.
I do get that lovely feeling when you've been in, I have to say. But if I've got someone to go with, like I went with Sherry at Ventnor, not this last spring, but a couple of springs before, and it was a gorgeous, gorgeous sunny day, and we went in with all our stuff on, and we went across the bay and back again, but then we probably spent about, a good couple of hours with a flask of coffee in our dry robes and all tucked up in the sunshine. So I love being outside.
Yeah.
I love being outside. So the water is just another opportunity to be outside. Yeah. That makes sense.
That does.
Good.
Excellent. Well, that's all my questions, really. Just anything else you want to say about your love of swimming generally?
I'm going to say the love of the outdoors.
Right.
Because I think for people that it is about being outside and it's about exercise being in nature and loving being outside and in nature and exercise. And swimming is a part of that for me. Yes, you can get that real tremendous buzz, and it is good for your metabolism, it's good for your body, but then so is cycling, so is walking. So it's just a part of it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Lindsey. Thanks for coming on the podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.